Have you ever stopped and asked yourself, why can a seemingly harmless compliment distract you from what's most important? We've always been taught that compliments are a good thing. They make us feel good enough, trying hard enough, important enough. But what happens when compliments secretly steal your confidence? We grow up with compliments all our lives. As children, we are praised for being obedient. As adults, we are praised for getting good grades, for behaving well, for looking successful, and then we get addicted to it. Compliments are like a sweet gift, pleasant and soothing. But if we are not careful, they can become the most subtle addictive drug society has to offer. It makes us believe that only when someone acknowledges us, we are on the right track. Only when we are applauded, we are worthy of recognition. But in reality, there are compliments that don't come from a place of truth, but from a place of wanting to please. Or worse, manipulation. The problem is not the compliment. The problem is how we react to it. A person on a journey of inner strength training, if not alert, can easily be pulled off the path of discipline by the first compliments. You didn't start going to the gym because someone told you you had a great body. You didn't start writing because people admired you. You chose to live a disciplined life because of the compliments. But then, when the compliments come, you start acting. You live to maintain the image that others have given you. And in that admiration, you gradually lose sight of your self-original reason. Think back to a time in your life when someone complimented you on a job well done. You felt energized. But then, the next time you did the same thing and no one said anything. Did you feel disappointed? Did you feel like you were doing something for nothing? That's when we realized, if our actions depend on praise, our determination is not strong enough. In Stoic philosophy, the core is, we should only focus on what we can control, our own actions, not the reactions of others. Compliments, whether sincere or not, are beyond that control. If you live on praise, then the silence of others is enough to make you collapse. Understand this. Compliments are not bad, but if you are not careful enough, they will become deceivers. Someone who tells you what you want to hear, slows you down, makes you feel good about yourself too soon, and then you say to yourself, enough is enough. But enough is never the goal of a disciplined person. Today's video isn't about how to reject compliments. It's about how to stand firm, both when complimented and when ignored. Because it's in silence that true resilience is forged. Have you ever noticed? How can a small compliment completely change your mood? You're working, training, or simply living your values. Someone says, "You're doing great," and instantly, you feel lighter. Your mind brightens. It feels so good, you want to hear more. And so you start living for that feeling, rather than for the reason you started in the first place. Neuroscientists call it the dopamine response. When you're recognized, your brain releases a burst of dopamine, a neurotransmitter that creates a temporary high. It's like eating sugar, sweet, fast, and makes you want more. But like sugar, praise can be addictive. The more you get, the more you want. Here's the thing. When praise becomes the reward you're after, you're no longer living for your true purpose. You're living for recognition. You start asking, will others see this? Instead of, is this the right thing to do? Worse, you fall into an invisible loop. When you get compliments, you feel elated, but when the compliments stop, you start to doubt yourself. You think you're doing something wrong. You feel empty, and you start to adjust yourself not based on principles, but based on other people's reactions. That's how dependency is formed. And the most dangerous thing is, it happens in silence. You might embark on a journey of personal change, like exercising, learning a new skill, or practicing self-discipline. At first, you do it for yourself. But after a few compliments, you start thinking, I have to do better to keep that compliment. You're no longer doing it for your inner strength, but for your image. Are you falling into that trap? Not everyone is susceptible to compliments, but there are certain types of people who are particularly susceptible to falling for this sweet trap. First are those who have been starved of recognition. They grew up rarely hearing, "Good job." So when praise comes, they grasp at it like it's breath in the desert, and they become dependent on that feeling, easily manipulated by anyone who can give it to them. Next are people with low self-esteem. They don't see their worth from within, so they look for it in the eyes of others. For them, a compliment is like a stamp of approval that I am valuable, and without it, they feel empty. And finally, there are those who are just starting out on their personal development journey. This is the most vulnerable stage. They don't have a solid foundation yet. A well-timed compliment can lift them up, but it can also send them off track if it distracts them from their original goals. This doesn't mean compliments are bad, but compliments are a tool, not a guide. And if you don't control your emotions around compliments, compliments will control you. The question is, are you living for praise? Or are you living for something greater? If the answer makes you think twice, it's time to go inward and remind yourself why you started. Consistency doesn't come from other people's praise. It comes from knowing what's right and acting on it, even when no one else is applauding. You start your journey with a clear reason. Maybe it's health, maybe it's freedom, maybe it's the desire to live with discipline. You don't need anyone's praise. You just want change. And every day, you try, even though no one knows, no one sees, you still do it. Then one day, someone said, "You are awesome. You are really good. I didn't expect you to make it this far." And you smile, proudly. Little did you know, from that moment on, the game changed. You are no longer doing it for yourself. You start doing things to keep the image that others have just given you. You go to the gym not for health, but because you want to keep your body in shape and people will compliment you. You work no longer because of passion, but because you are afraid people will think you are no longer excellent. You start acting, and you're tired of trying to keep up appearances, instead of being true to why you started. This is when praise is no longer a reward, but an invisible chain. A soft chain, comfortable, but it locks you in a cage called recognition. From being the master of action, you become the follower of gaze. You fear people will think you are not as good as before. You're afraid to try new things, because if you fail, you're afraid they won't praise you anymore. And thus, the inner motivation is replaced by the pressure to maintain an image. You are no longer living freely. You are living in the eyes of others. More dangerously, compliments cause many people to stop too soon. They hear a few words of praise, and they stop. They think, that's enough. They think, I'm good enough. But enough is the fastest growth killer. You don't have to be cruel to yourself, but you need to be honest. Are you moving forward, or are you repeating what others praise you for? True perseverance doesn't come from being good when people are watching. It comes from what you do when no one is looking. When there is no one left to say nice words or ideas. When you have to face yourself, your bad habits, and the temptation to give up. Perseverance is when you continue in the dark. A compliment can also make you lose the original reason. People tell you you're smart, and you start to fear being wrong. People tell you you're good, and you don't dare step out of your comfort zone anymore. You are afraid of losing your image. You refuse new challenges, just because you fear losing the praise. And then, you become hostage to the image people create for you. You wanted to live true to yourself. But now, you are living up to other people's expectations. You no longer act for yourself, but for maintaining the role of the good version of yourself in the eyes of the world. Worse, you fear losing the compliment. You let it control every action, every choice. But you know what? Compliments are temporary. Discipline is what lasts. True success does not come from applause. It comes from quiet steps, steady, every day. It comes from choosing to do the right thing, even if no one praises you for it. We live in a world where compliments are everywhere. Just post a photo, some likes. Write a status, some hearts fly. Even if you just write a few lines of effort, you will see comments like, "You are great, come on, you can do it, you really inspire me." Sounds great, right? But behind all those sweet compliments lies a hard truth. Most online compliments aren't a reflection of who you are. They're a reflection of how other people want to feel. Like, sometimes just a reflex. Commenting, awesome. Sometimes it's just politeness. And if you live by it, you are making yourself a hostage of illusion. This is a very sophisticated trap, because it is disguised in nice words. You won't see it coming. You will only realize when you start feeling insecure if your posts don't get much engagement. When you start changing the way you write, the way you live, the way you express yourself, just to please the crowd. And then, you lose the most important thing, the truth within you. Social media is a paradise for fake praise, and hell for those looking for real validation. Because there, you're not judged by effort, but by virality. You are not praised for quiet perseverance, but for momentary brilliance. You are not known for who you really are, but for who you look like, someone successful. But you know what's even more dangerous than false recognition? It is a compliment that comes at the wrong time, in the wrong way, to the wrong person. I have seen many people, especially young people, praised for trying their best, even though the results were completely unsatisfactory. It is not wrong to encourage someone, but it is wrong when we call a lackluster effort excellent, because it plants in the recipient's mind an illusion that, "I'm good enough." And what happens when you think you're good enough? You stop. You don't try any harder. You see no reason to develop further. Worse, you don't hear real feedback anymore. This is the silent death of maturity. You don't fail, but you don't improve either. And you get stuck in a comfort zone built from insincere compliments. There is a truth that is a bit harsh to hear, but needs to be stated clearly. Praise should not come from pity. It should come from careful observation, from understanding someone's true journey, and be given at the right time, to the right person. A timely compliment can save a dying spirit, but one poorly timed compliment can kill a long journey of hard work. So, if you are living among compliments, ask yourself, are these words taking me further, or keeping me where I am? Am I living right, or am I just living to fit the compliments others want to hear? You can take all those good words with gratitude, but don't let them be your guide, because if you need the whole world to clap to keep you going, you'll never get far enough. Truly resilient people don't live for praise. They live for what is right, even when no one compliments. There is one thing that few people clearly distinguish: recognition and indulgence are not the same. Both feel good. Both make you feel like, I'm doing good. But only one helps you grow, the other keeps you stuck in the same place. Validation is when someone sees your genuine effort. They understand the journey you've been on. They don't clap too early, but when you need a boost, they're there. And when they say, I see you're on the right track, you feel the truth, not because it's sweet, but because you know they're seeing the journey, not just the results. True recognition always comes with one important thing: honest feedback. It's not just, you did good, but you did good, and here's what you can improve to be even better. It doesn't make you complacent, it makes you confident. Doesn't stop you, makes you want to go further. Think of a good coach. They won't just praise you for no reason. They'll praise you when you're making real progress, and they'll point out what you're not doing so you can keep growing. Indulgence, on the other hand, is unwarranted praise. It's when you're praised just to feel good, not to grow. It's when every effort you make, big or small, right or wrong, is applauded equally. Sounds sweet, but the reality is very dangerous. Because when someone keeps telling you that you're great, even though you haven't done anything good enough, you start to believe that you're already at the finish line. And when you're at the finish line, what reason do you have to keep trying? You start to see the need for effort as unnecessary. You believe you are enough. And that is when growth stops. I have met people, especially young people, who live in a cycle of pampering and praise. Whatever they do, they are praised. They write a few lines of thought and they are called philosophical. They go to the gym for a week and are praised for having extraordinary willpower. But when faced with reality, when no one applauds, no one praises, they lose their bearings. Because for so long, they have lived in a praise bubble, and when the bubble bursts, they no longer know who they are. Indulgence doesn't help you grow. It makes you the most easy to please version of yourself, unchallenged, afraid to push your limits, and easily hurt when someone doesn't compliment you. Are you living in true acceptance or false indulgence? One easy way to tell is to ask yourself, is the praise I receive accompanied by honest feedback? Does it help me do better? Or does it just make me feel okay and then stop? If it is genuine recognition, you will feel empowered and oriented. If it's indulgence, you'll feel good, but then vague and still. Choose the right person to listen to. Appreciate thoughtful recognition, even if it sometimes comes with blunt criticism. And be careful with compliments that come too easily, because sometimes they don't help you, they're harming you in the gentlest way. You don't need a lot of compliments. All you need is a few words of truth from someone who truly wants you to grow. Compliments are like the gentle morning sunlight. It warms our hearts, gives us a little more confidence, a little more motivation. But if you only know how to walk towards that light, then you will never be strong enough to walk in the darkness. The question is, how to overcome the charm of compliments? How do you keep going, even when no one is clapping anymore? The answer starts with your mindset. You need to cultivate a mindset where your actions are not determined by applause, but by what is right. You don't have to do it to get recognized. You do it because it's the right thing to do. You don't need anyone to praise you for being disciplined. You live with discipline because you respect yourself. You don't need anyone to tell you, don't give up, because you have chosen to live without giving up. No matter what anyone says, act on principle, not on the emotions of others. Ask yourself, if no one knew what I did today, would I still do it? That is true perseverance. It's when you focus on the process, not the reaction. You value the process of training, not waiting for someone's gaze to reward you. One practical way to keep yourself grounded is to always remember why you started. Before you do anything, stop for a moment and ask, what am I doing this for? Not because people praise you for being hardworking, not because you want to prove anything to others, but inside you, there was once a commitment. Write that reason down. Post it somewhere you'll see it every day. When compliments come and start to bother you, come back to them. The reason doesn't have to be grand. It just has to be real enough and strong enough to pull you back when you're about to be pulled away. And you know what? Not all compliments get you further. Sometimes compliments are subtle distractions. It makes you satisfied too soon, slowed down too soon, or complacent without realizing it. So, whenever someone compliments you, don't believe it too quickly. Ask yourself again, does this compliment help me improve? Does it really reflect my efforts, or is it just a sweet word? Don't let pleasant words lull you into sleep on your journey. Praise does not make you stronger. Repeating the right actions makes you stronger. Finally, learn to appreciate praise, but not depend on it. When someone compliments you, smile and say, thank you. But don't let that word define who you are, or what you should do next. Remind yourself, I appreciate it, but I don't live for it. A strong person is not one who refuses all compliments, but someone who can stand firm, even when there is no one around to clap. Are the ones who keep going, because they know why they started. Someone who doesn't need the world's praise to know they're living right. There is a valuable question to ask yourself every time you receive a compliment. Does that compliment really define me, or is it just a fleeting echo of someone else's attention? Marcus Aurelius, one of the great emperors and also a profound Stoic philosopher, once wrote in his book Reflection, don't pay attention to what they say about you, good or bad, because that isn't you. How deeply do you understand that? Because if one negative word can't destroy you, well, a compliment shouldn't get you too far. If you are swayed by praise, you will also be swayed by criticism. And then, you are no longer the master of your own life, but living in the eyes of the crowd. Stoicism teaches that we cannot control what other people think, feel, or say, but we can control ourselves. Compliments, like the weather, they come and go, beautiful, but not dependable. If you base your whole journey on a compliment, one headwind will blow you away, Epictetus, a slave-turned-philosopher, once said, "Praise is beyond your control, and what is beyond your control should not be a measure of your worth." You can be excellent, without anyone's recognition. You can do extraordinary things, without anyone's approval. And sometimes, what you're doing is so big that no one is deep enough to see it. In Stoicism, it is not important to be recognized. It's about living up to your inner standards. Regardless of the noise outside, you don't need the spotlight. You just need enough inner light to show your way. Because the Stoics knew that maturity doesn't come from the eyes of others, it comes from the quiet evenings. You face yourself and still choose not to give up. You don't live to be applauded. You live to evolve every day, in silence, in discipline, and in gratitude. Compliments can be a nice tune, but don't let them become the main theme of your life. It was just an echo, a small sound. It came and went. But if you are not alert, you will run after it all your life and forget the real melody that is inside you. So, if you are pursuing a difficult but right path, if you are living a disciplined life and no one praises you, if you're trying and no one notices, smile, because in Stoic philosophy, it is a manifestation of true inner strength. Quiet, unpretentious, but durable and solid as a rock. And then one day, when someone asks you, "How did you get so far?" you would just smile and say, "I don't run after compliments. I walk, because I know it's the right thing to do." We don't have to hate compliments. Compliments, by their very nature, are not a bad thing. A compliment at the right time, to the right person, in the right way, can be a gentle touch to a tired heart, helping us stand up and keep going. But the problem isn't the compliment, it's how we react to it. If you're not careful, compliments can become a subtle trap, a sweetness that distracts you from what's important, the reason you started. Compliments can be motivating, but that motivation will only last for a moment if you don't build it on a foundation of consistency. Because true perseverance doesn't come from someone's approval. It comes from keeping going when no one is watching, no one is applauding, no one is caring. When you work in silence, when you practice inner strength, do not show off. When you keep a promise to yourself, even when no one knows to appreciate it. That is true courage. You don't have to give up compliments. Just say thank you when someone compliments you, with sincerity and humility. But don't live to chase it. Because if you only act when someone encourages you, then you are living in condition, not in freedom. True freedom is when you live by your principles, whether anyone agrees with you or not. It's when you keep going, not because you're going to get applause, but because you know this is the right thing to do. And the best part is this: when you do the right thing, because it is right, without needing recognition, then one day, you will be a silent inspiration to others. It's not because you're trying to be strong, but because you have lived like a rock, quiet, steady, unshakable. You may not have thousands of likes. You may not be in the limelight, but you will have something that most people don't have: respect from yourself. And that is worth more than all the compliments in the world. So, if you don't get any accolades today, don't be sad. If no one recognizes your efforts, don't stop. If you are taking the hard, but right, path, keep going. Because the strongest person is not the one who is praised the most. but the one who still chooses to do the right thing, even when no one tells you you're doing it right. If you're still going on, silently, unseen, this video is for you. Please leave a comment below, "I'm still walking," to let me know you are here, persevering like a silent warrior. And if you find this message worth sharing, please like, share and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. We don't need compliments to be strong, but we can empower each other with presence.